Have you ever thought about buying a business and you don't know what are the steps? In this video, I'm going to be sharing a framework I use to buy businesses, whether you want to buy a business to replace your income or if you like to buy a business to scale your existing company. But before we start, let me just make a disclaimer. This is simply a process that I use and my members uses inside of my community to buy businesses. I'm not saying if you follow the same system, you will achieve the same results. I'm just going to be sharing what worked for us inside of our community, but this doesn't guarantee success. Every business acquisition will be different and the results always going to depend on your executions. So why should you consider buying a business? If your goal is to replace your income by starting a business, buying a business is often a better option than start one from scratch. Why is that? So when you start a business, you need to create the product, you need to create the client acquisition, you need to set up the marketing and the advertising. By the way, marketing and advertising are separate, are different. I know a lot of people say they are the same. You need to create the fulfillment, you need to hire people, you need to build the operation. You are creating everything from scratch, from zero. And that is why people say starting a business is very hard. You need to work long hours because you are building all the assets from scratch. Assets are the things the business need in order to run without you. And that takes time and also money. So instead of you doing all of that, what you could do, you could acquire an existing profitable business that has already clients in place, have systems, have revenue, have been running and been in the market for many years. And your job, it will be only one, to improve the business further and grow the business rather than start all of that from scratch. Let me give an example. Lucas is a member that was working in a hospital and he had quite a good job, to be very honest, but as many people, he wanted freedom. He wanted to replace his income. So instead of starting a business from zero, he decided to acquire one.
Quite frankly, I bought my business through his teaching. To be honest with you, it's life-changing.
He followed the same framework I'm going to share in this video, and he bought a profitable business that already have operation in place, was already generating revenue, and already had clients. So from day one, the business was already producing income. So instead of spending all these years trying and have uncertainty, step on an existing business that already is profitable, improve that business, and now he is a business owner. So today he's very confident. If you see him, he seems like a completely different person because he went from an employee to a business owner by acquiring a business. Now you know, if in case you start a business, this statistic is from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. They say 20% of the business fail within the first year and then 50% will fail within 5 years. And I think this statistic is very similar in the UK, in the US, and other parts of the world as well. So instead of you going through all these uncertainties, you can acquire a profitable business, and a profitable business that can pay yourself a salary from day one rather than working 2 years without income. I've been there, and you can literally pass through all of that without having to go through the hassle to start a business. So now, who else should buy a business? The second type of person should be business owners. So imagine if you have a business and you want it to scale, and at the moment you scale organically, you're getting one client at a time. What you could do, you could acquire a business and scale your business much faster. So you could buy a competitor, you could buy a complementary competitor who has different products that you can upsell to your current clients. You can buy another company, an existing company with a customer database, and put that into your company so then you can grow instantaneously. This is exactly how many companies scale their business. This is also what members inside my community like Kieran or Stefan, they double their business through acquisition. Instead of they start growing organically, they did that as well.
We've just completed the acquisition of our first business, 7-figure business in Scotland.
So these are the two types of people that should consider buying business. So now you know buying a business is a good option. Now let me give you the framework. So the framework is 11 steps. So take a pen and paper. I'm going to give you that 11 steps very fast. I don't want this video to be very long. So the first step is decide your target company. So you need to decide what type of company you're going to buy. So for you to do that, you need to ask yourself, which sector do I understand? Where are you already have experience? So these two questions will help you to decide which type of company you're going to buy. After that, you need to find this company. So once you know your target, you need to create what I call deal flow. There are two ways you can do to create deal flow. So the first one is through broker. You can search business for sale in your area. So for example, you can say business for sale in London, business for sale in New York, and I will find various websites who are going to say they have business to sell. So many people will say to not buy business through brokers. Yes, business that are advertising through brokers sometimes, most of the times, are overpriced, but there's a big opportunity there as well because they have a lot of profitable business and also the owner wants to sell. So not going through a broker and just decide not to go through a broker, so you're going to have a lot of opportunities there. So that's why I say you can go to a broker. And if you become very good going through brokers, when you go direct to vendor, it becomes much easier. The second option is direct to vendor. You create a deal flow by creating a list of companies or contact companies. I'm going to give you some sites that you can do. If you live in UK, you can use Indol. If in case you live in US, you can use Open Corporate. If you live in Portugal, you can use a company like Ratio Portugal. You're going to send them a letter explaining that you are interested in their business, and they're going to respond to you, and then you can have the conversation on how to buy the business. The third way you can do this as well is through LinkedIn. They have a lot of business owners. After that, we're going to step 3, which is request financial information. So you're going to ask them to send some financial information. They're going to normally ask you to sign an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement. It's a paper to say, do not tell anyone about my company. And you're going to ask them for profit and loss, balance sheet, and also cash flow statement. That is the third step. The fourth step, now they send you all this information. You're going to analyze this financial information. So, okay, most people feel very intimidated here. I'm not an accountant, so I didn't know how to do. What you need to do, you need to create a spreadsheet, and then you're going to be putting just few datas there. This will tell you how much is the business value. It's going to tell how much can you offer. You're going to tell what is the range you can offer, so you don't offer too much or too little. You just need to put the numbers there, and then the spreadsheet will tell. After that, you're going to make an offer, and normally the way we make an offer, we want to make an offer that is fair for both parties, and the way we do, we don't want to pay all the money up front. The way we do make an offer, we pay 50 to 60% in the completion, and then in the remain, we're going to give them throughout, like for couple of years. So let me give an example. Let's say you buy a business for 2 million. You're going to pay first million up front so they can become a millionaire. And then after that, let's say you're going to pay 250 for 4 years so they have the 2 million. That's the way we make an offer. So now we're going to go to step number 6. So step number 6, what we're going to do, we're going to finance the business. Now, this is a very important step because a lot of people don't buy business because they think they will need a lot of money to buy businesses. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give you some ways you can finance businesses that you might don't know. And then what you can do, you can Google and become more familiarized with these terminologies. So you can buy a business by using asset-based finance. Asset-based finance, basically you're going to use the asset of the business, refund, and the bank's going to give you some money. You can use cash flow lending as well, using the cash flow from the business to generate some income. Invoice finance as well you can use. If in case you are in the US, you can use something called SBA loans, and they have other methods. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create a video specific on how can you finance the business, but you can Google this to see ways you can finance business. So now we're going to go step number 7, and this stage, what you wanted to do, you wanted to meet the business owner. So this is the thing. Some people like to meet the business owner sooner. Some people like to meet the business owner now. There's no right and wrong. In this case, I like to meet the business owner in this step, and I wanted to know more about their business. This is a very important meeting because you're going to be asking questions. The owner is going to be asking questions. Remember, the owner wants to be confident that you're going to take care of their business. One of the things I advise people to do is to create a pitch. So in that pitch is to introduce to the owner. So when you go to these meetings, you're just prepared. And also when you meet the broker, you have a pitch as well. So prepare your pitch. If in case you wanted to know the pitch, what you can do, follow me on Instagram and send me a message, you want the pitch, and I send you a page or an example of the pitch so you know. After that is step number 8, which is if the offer is accepted, you're going to sign a head of terms. The head of terms basically is everything that you agreed with the owner. What type of payments you're going to make. You're going to pay $1 million day one, or how you're going to do. So everything you agreed is going to go to a paper, and they call head of terms. And you're going to use that paper, give to the lawyers, and the lawyers going to do the legal stuff. So then we go to step number 9, which is verifying the cash flow. Now you signed head of terms, you're going to ask them to send the bank statements. And why you want the bank statement? You want the bank statements to understand the business, because some business can be profitable on paper in the balance sheet and profit and loss, but then when you see the cash flow, they are not as profitable. So you wanted to see how profitable the business is, and you do this by seeing the bank statement. Yes, so then we're going to go to step number 10, which is you're going to understand more about the cash flow. So you wanted to see, okay, if I ask the banks to give me money, what's going to be my debt ratio? Can I have enough cash flow to pay that? You're going to see, okay, do I have enough money to pay myself a salary? How much cash really are you buying? Okay, so because in the balance sheet you can have a lot of assets, in the income statement you can have money, but literally there is where you're going to put everything in a cash flow statement and see how much money you have. And then we have the step 11, which is the last one. We're going to start going to due diligence. You're going to appoint your broker, your lawyer, your accountant to do their due diligence. They're going to open what they call a data room, put all this information there. They're going to read and create a report for you. Now, very important, some of these professionals, they allowed you to defer the payment until the end, until you complete. So that means no money comes from you. So basically when you acquire the business, in the completion, they're going to send the invoice to the company that you acquire. That helps you to minimize how much money you use. So this is the framework we use to acquire a profitable business, regardless if you wanted to scale your existing business much faster, or you would like to replace your income by acquiring one business. You can follow the same process that we follow. I hope you found value in this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now, and see you soon.